invoices. Yeah, payment methods. All right. If you see, this is my debit card only. Okay. So that's the reason why this is it accepted. Okay. So you can also try with the same. Uh, Sometimes it won't accept the debit card. Sometimes it will accept.
I'll try with ICICI then.
Yeah. You can try with any other bank like which is having international like Visa or Master. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Moving back to my account. Yesterday it was suspended, and then later what I have done, I have created a request to the Microsoft, and they have reactivated my account. Okay. Where is my cases?
How do you contact Microsoft? Because,
Yes.
you know, when
Yes.
I use my husband's information and then he should be able to work because he never had any Microsoft account. So is there a
Uh,
way to contact
no.
anyone about that?
Yes. Yes. You can raise a support case by using the help and support. I raised a case to the Microsoft, and they have contacted me through the mobile. Okay. I have given my mobile
Uh,
number,
okay.
and see, this is the one. Okay. I have raised,
Okay. Okay,
and
so you go to the
yeah,
conference.
they
Okay.
have they have addressed my ticket.
Okay, they call you.
They called me.
Okay.
So yesterday I was unable to create any services due to that. So the pending invoice. Okay. So now
Okay.
after that, they have reactivated my account. If you just go to the
Okay.
subscriptions,
I'll try.
now you can able to see my account is it is in active state.
Yeah.
What happened? I could see that it was active. Mhm. Let me try to create any one of the service. I've seen it. It got resolved. Hey, what happened? I think this was not refreshed. Okay. Yeah, that's the reason why it was not refreshed. This is a old screen. Let me try to reload it so that you can able to see the latest, the activated ID. See enough? Now it was activated, but this is a old screen. That's the reason why. All right. So let's go back to the discussion. So what we have discussed in the yesterday's class is all about like how we can create the there was a hierarchy in order to create any services in the Azure. You have to follow the same hierarchy. All right. The first one, what you have to do is like you should be part of any either one of the subscription. Okay. Then you have to create a resource group. Resource group is nothing but it's a logical container. It won't contain any data. It will simply represent the logical container. Under the resource group, you can create actual the resources. Okay, it could be application or database related or anything that everything we call it as a resource. All right. Okay, so let's come back to the discussion. And also we have seen uh, the uh, the basic difference between the on-prem database model and Azure DB. Okay, in Azure DB we have basically three types of models: single DB and elastic DB model, and managed instance model and IaaS model. So in single DB model, so we have created yesterday one of the service, and I haven't gone through it. All right. So and then later managed instance not yet disclosed, and IaaS model will come to see later. Okay. Let's go back to the single DB model. All right. The first thing what you have to remember is you have to create a proper resource group. Without a resource group, you cannot create any of the service in the Azure. So let me try to create a resource group. That is, I'm just giving the name as prod create. Okay, now I have a valid resource group. Okay, so then go to all services, type SQL virtual machines, SQL virtual machines. Okay, type SQL virtual machines and click on the create. Then it will take you through the how do you plan to use the service, whether you want to go with the single DB model or managed instance or virtual machine. Okay, so now I want to go with the single DB model. All right, then uh, DT. Okay, I think DT model is already open. Yeah, let it be. Fine. So come back to the single DB model. You need to have a proper resource group. Then you have to give a name for the database. I'm just keeping the name as test. Let it be. All right. Then you must have a server in order to create a single database model. So you can directly, two ways you can create. You can directly create a server and then later you can create database. That is one part. Or else you can directly create a database, or else directly you can create a server on fly. This we call it as a on fly. Okay. So I can go directly here and I can create a SQL server. Okay. Create a SQL server. All right. I'm using a resource group name as prod. All right. And let me give the server name as SQL 12356. Okay. Yeah. So it has given an error. Let's try to read the error. Your server name can contain only lowercase letters, numbers, and hyphens, and it can't have more than 63 characters in the length. Okay. All right. So I have given a uppercase letters. So the reason why it is not taking anything. Okay. Try to give only lowercase letters. Then where you want to deploy your uh, the server, I want to deploy in India. All right. And the authentication models, the Azure DB will support two types of authentication. One is SQL authentication and the Azure like Active Directory authentication. Okay, Azure Active Directory authentication. So it's up to you whether which type of authentication that you want to use it. Right. So right now I will go with the SQL authentication. Then later we'll discuss about what is Azure authentication and all, Active Directory authentication, how we can create Active Directory accounts and all. We'll see that part later. Sysadmin, and you have to give the strong password. Okay. In networking, I'm not touching anything. So allow Azure services. Yes, you have to click S. Okay. Then next additional settings, not required. Tags, review, and try to in basic settings something got what happened. Just saying that it got disabled. Reload. Okay. Prod and server name SQL 11235 and India, Central India, and SQL authentication, sysadmin. And suppose if you try to give the SA and all, it won't take it because everybody knows SA account, right? Okay. Your login name must not contain a SQL identifier or typical system name like admin, administrator, SA, root, DB manager, login manager, etc. Okay. A built-in database user role like DBO, guest, public, etc. You are not supposed to use SA and all. Okay. That's the reason why I will keep it as sysadmin. Okay, those are reserved characters and you cannot use those characters. Networking. Yes, Azure services has to accept my services. Next tags, review and create. All right. Just try to observe one thing. If you create any SQL server in the Azure, it is completely free. Okay. So what is the reason behind of it? So what you are going to do with a empty SQL server? No use, right? So until unless if you until unless you create a database and all, then there is no use at all. So the reason why Microsoft is saying that if you create any SQL server in Azure, that is completely free. Suppose I have a server. So if I don't create any database, then what is the use of this server, right? I can't I can't use it for anything. So no use of it. Okay. So the reason why you must have to you must have to uh like you 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 have to create a database and then later you have to use the database. Correct. So that's why Microsoft is claiming that the server, the SQL server, whatever you create, it is completely for free. So now I have created a SQL server and just go to the resource. Yeah, this is my blank SQL server. So what is the name of the SQL server? It is SQL1235 and database.windows.net. Okay, database.windows.net. So if I create any server in Azure, like a single DB model or elastic DB model, the database name is database.windows.net. If you see the name is something like this, it means that it belongs to a single DB or elastic DB model. All right. So there is a difference between single DB and elastic DB. I will explain that part in upcoming classes. Just try to follow me. All right. So now I have a blank SQL server. You can create on fly or you can create separately. That is two parts are there. Okay. Now what I have done, I have already created a SQL server. Let's try to, it won't take it because the screen was not refreshed yet. So let me try to refresh the screen. All right. Fine. Now just come down here. See now it picked automatically. Okay. So if you want, you can create one more server. It's up to you. This is on fly. On fly means like you can create all at a time. Okay. Yeah. Test. Fine. I just want to keep my database name as test. All right. And Elastic DB still I haven't disclosed. Let it be. Okay. Uh, if you want, I can use it for the production. If not, then probably let it be. Yeah. Compute plus storage. This is very, very, very important. So what is this compute plus storage? So in basically, we have a two types of compute models. One is a vCore based purchasing model and DTU based purchasing model. So what is this DTU based purchasing and vCore model? Let's follow me. Yeah. So what is this DTU? DTU stands for database transaction unit. Okay, which is combines the compute. Compute is nothing but CPU, memory, and IOPS. Okay, this is nothing but your DTU model. So in DTU model, what will happen? Because in order to work any database, what it require minimum? It require a DTU, like it require a compute power and RAM and disk, right? It required all together. All right, that's they combined everything and they call it as a DTU. DTU stands for database transaction unit. It combines the compute, memory, and IOPS. You cannot increase individual resources such as memory or CPU. Okay, that is one of the restriction in DTU. If you want more memory or more CPU and less kind of storage, it is not possible. You have to increase all together exponentially. You have to increase. All right. However, you can increase the number of DTUs to increase the resources for the Azure database. In order to increase anything, you have to increase the same time, you have to increase the DTUs. All right. This solution is suitable for clients who look for a predefined resource configuration with a balanced CPU, memory, and IO. Okay. So the client who feels that their configuration with a balanced kind of, they feel that it doesn't have any impact. Okay, and they don't need any more CPUs, or they don't need it's a stable environment, I can say that. Okay, once they feel that it's a stable environment and they don't it is not that much of production and all. Okay, in such a cases, what Microsoft is recommended, you can go with the DTU model. Okay, Azure SQL Database provides basic, standard, and premium services tiers for the different range of compute storage. You can easily migrate to another service tier. However, it requires minimal downtime during the switchover period. All right. So basically what you have to understand from this is the DTV stands for database transaction unit, which is nothing but it's a combination of compute, storage, and memory. All right. So then it has a three models. DTU offering three models. What is those? Basic, standard, and premium. Okay. All right. So in basic model, what are the limitations? Okay. So in basic model, the uptime SLA is 99.99%. All the three models like basic, standard, and premium tiers, or we call it as a editions. That is also correct. Okay. Some people they used to call it as a editions. Some people they used to call it as a tier. Okay, tier is also same and edition is also same. Fine. So in basic model, what is the limitation? It comes up with maximum of 2 GB storage and maximum of 5 DTUs. That is the limitation. Okay, and when it comes to the standard model, you can utilize up to 1 TB of storage with 3000 DTUs. All right, and the same time, if you want to go with the premium model, it is offering 4 TB of storage and 4000 DTUs. Okay, IOPS is nothing but input output per second, which is nothing but disk reads and writes. Okay, 1 to 4 IOPS per DTU. It is offering 1 to 4 IOPS per DTU. This is also same, and less than 25 IOPS per DTU. Almost 24, 24, 23, something like that. Not greater than 25. Okay, not sorry, it is greater than 25 IOPS. All right, it is greater than 25 IOPS. So maximum backup retention is, it is offering 7 days of retention. It is offering 35 days, and this is also 35 days of backup retention. What is this backup retention? How to do it? Everything I'm going to disclose. Don't worry on it. All right, and column store index. Column store index in basic DTU model, it won't support. When it compared to the standard, it is support above S3. Okay, and for premium, it is supporting. In memory OLTP, This is one of the feature given by the Microsoft. If you want to utilize this in-memory OLTP feature, then you must have to utilize the premium DTU model. All right, fine. So now everybody understood, right? What is a DTU? It's a combination of memory, CPU, and IOPS. All right. So now it is offering three types of models: basic, standard, and premium. Yeah. So for it is clearly given the instructions. What is this basic? So this basic is for less demanding workloads. Okay. If your workload is very less, and if you want to go with the basic, yes, you can use a basic DTU. It comes up with 5 DTUs and the maximum of 2 GB storage. You cannot go beyond 2 GB. If you try to give 5 GB or something, it won't take it. All right, fine. And yeah, there is a standard. So what is a standard? It is a budget friendly. Okay, it can grow until 3000 DTUs and it is offering 1 TB of storage. 1 TB. Okay, that's what I told. 1 TB storage with maximum of 3000 DTUs. So how you want to go? Okay, which model you have to choose? That is very important. Okay, so initially don't go with the 300 DTUs. What storage requirement you have? Okay, so what is your data capacity? So if you feel that your data capacity is 50 GB or 40 GB, then go with this like 200 or 100 DTUs. Okay, then if your performance is not good, then try to increase the DTUs. That's how we have to that's how we have to build the environment. Don't directly go and utilize the 3000 DTUs and 50 GB storage. So what is the calculation it is giving roughly? Try to read it. It is uh, almost 4 lakhs. 4 lakh INR because my account is India representing. So the reason why it is showing in INR almost 4 lakhs per month I need to pay. Okay. So the reason why choose the right or appropriate DTU so that you can get a see now. If I use same kind of 50 GB storage and with the 20 DTUs, I'm getting a bill of just 2644 rupees. Okay, 2644 only. That's very important. So see how much big variance it is, almost 99%. Where is 3000 and where is 4 lakhs? A huge difference, right? All right. And premium model, it is high availability and performance. Okay, this is high availability and performance. If you want to achieve the high availability mode, and you can go with the premium kind of basic model, premium kind of TTU. So I'm going to tell you what is the scale out and all. I will disclose. Don't worry on this part. Okay, and it is offering the maximum of 4000 DTUs, and it can grow up to 4 TB. 4096 is nothing but 4 TB. All right. So everything whatever I disclosed, everything is up to now. Everyone is clear, right? Fine. All right.
So what is this DTO, sir?
That's what I told, right? DTU stands for database transaction unit, which is a combination of your compute memory and IOPS.
Okay.
All together. Okay, your memory. So in order to run any database or anything, so what it require? Can anyone tell, please? It require a CPU, it require a
CPU.
RAM,
Yes.
it require a disk, correct?
Yes.
So all together is called TTU. So here there is no Windows, right? In
Yes.
in
In
single
Azure.
DB model, there is no Windows. Okay,
Yes.
but no Windows mean it doesn't mean that in order to run the service, it doesn't require CPU and all. Okay, definitely any service or anything, okay, or your lab or your system or anything that need to run, it require CPU, RAM, and IOPS is mandatory. Correct?
Yes.
So we have eliminated the Windows. That's a different part, but it required a RAM, CPU, and memory.
So the
Correct?
I/O part is for memory.
IOPS is nothing but input output per second. Okay, like how many reads are happening with the disk, how many writes can happen with the disk. That is nothing but your IOPS. All right. So if you want to see the IOPS task manager, just go to task manager, disk. This is the one, right? How many reads and writes happening for your disk? All right. Like this, each disk have its own kind of restrictions. Okay. So in normal model, what will happen in normal on-prem or normal model, what will happen? You will keep each database our data file, log file, temp.db, and backups in different drives. What is the reason for it? In order to avoid the disk IOPS, right? Input outputs, in order to get the good performance from the disks, right? So here also the same. Okay, where your data will be stored, obviously it will store in the disk only, right? Correct? But you don't see, you don't have that access to see where your data is storing and all. Okay, and what is your RAM? Okay, how much RAM it has allocated, you cannot see it because it's a combination of DTU. Okay, that's what
Okay.
it is they are telling. Okay, you cannot increase the number of DTUs. Okay, or you cannot increase the individual resources such as memory or CPU. I want to go with the a 10 GB RAM or 20 GB RAM. Okay, I want to go with the 2.4 gigahertz processor or something. You cannot choose it. Okay, if you observe my processor, it is 1.8 gigahertz processor. Okay, like here there is no concept that I want to go with 1.5 gigahertz processor or something. If you want to achieve good performance, try to increase the DTUs. That's what Microsoft is saying. All right, everybody clear?
Yeah, got it.
Yes.
Okay, so now uh, we have three models: basic, standard, and premium. And which model is applicable to your application? Choose the right model. So if you choose a wrong model, what will happen? You will get a lot of bill, which is a unnecessary burden to the clients. Correct? All right. So I'm just going with the basic DT model because I'm using for just testing purpose only. See enough? I've chosen a basic DT model which is coming with 5 DTUs and 2 GB of storage. Apply. Correct? Review. Create. In order to deploy any service in Azure, at least it will take 2 to 3 minutes of the time. Okay, this is also very important. What is the, if I create any service, what is the uh, like what it has the phases? It has a 3 phases. The first phase is initializing phase, then submitting, and then deployment. ISD, short form is ISD, initializing, submitting, and deployment. Now my resources are in deployment phase. This is the final phase. Once the deployment is completed, then you could be able to see success message. Got it? Fine. Just go to the resource. All right. So now I have a SQL server. This is my SQL server. Inside of it, I have a test database. All right. So just go to the SQL servers. And there is a option called SQL databases. All right. In order to connect to any database, you can use a query editor. Here you don't have a SSMS and all, correct? Only you have a query editor access from the portal. So this is the sysadmin account and give the password. I think it won't accept the connection. Yeah. So what it is given. So cannot open the SQL server requested by the login. Client IP address is not allowed. Client public IP. This is the public IP. So what is the public IP and what is private IP? There is a lot of discussion on that part. Okay. Now just try to observe. To enable the access, use the Azure Management Portal or to run sp_set firewall rule on the master database to create a firewall rules for this IP address and make sure that you have a uh, for this change to take effect. Okay, it may take up to 5 minutes. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to allow the 171.49.247.233. So what exactly this IP address is? It's a public IP. So how you can know what is your public IP? So just type what's my IP. Okay, just observe guys. 171.49.247.233. The same you will 171.49.247.233. Same one, 233. Okay, this is a public IP. This public IP is not a constant one. It will keep on changing. Okay, it will keep on changing. If I change my network, again my public IP will got changed. If I reboot my system, again it will assign a new public IP to my system. So in real time, no one will not use the public IPs. Okay, in real time, no one will not use the public IPs. Everybody will use the private IPs. Private IPs are the constant IPs which are more secure. Correct? There is a there is a network firewall and all. So where we can block all the outer connections, only internal people can access the person who will connect via VPN or some people they use VPN. Some people can use RSA kind of secure authentications. Correct? So once they connect to the VPN, then probably they can access all the servers within the VPN network. That's how in real time the organizations will build their servers. Correct? In the same way, I'm just trying to right now for the practice purpose and all, I am allowing the IP address, public IP address. Yeah, successfully updated. Let me try to connect. Yeah, it got connected. So my database is a test database and it's a blank one. It doesn't have any tables and all. Correct? So if you want to create any tables, you can use create table, table name MP. Let me create a MP table and with two columns EMP number and it's a integer data type. I'm not telling what is data types and all. Okay. MP number, E name, employee name. It's a varchar of 10. Okay, yeah, run it. Fine. After that, what you have to do? You have to refresh it. Just expand the tables. Now you will able to see a employee table with 2 columns.
I
Okay.
have a question.
Yes, please.
So do people use, like companies, do they use, like when they use Azure, do they use SSMS or do they use the query editor on the portal here?
It's up to you. How comfort you are.
Okay, which one is the most common used practice? It looks
SSMS.
like, huh?
SSMS.
Yeah, to me it looks like SSMS is more convenient. Okay.
So now I am going to show you how we can connect from SSMS as well. Okay. This is my SSMS. Okay. Take a new connection and then try to uh, go to the SQL server, copy the server name and paste it. Use SQL Server authentication and sysadmin connect. Connected. Correct?
Yes, got it.
Fine.
Thank you.
Now you can do anything. Like you can create a table from here, or you can create anything that applicable to you according to your requirement. Correct? Expand the databases. You can able to see your database. Inside that you have a tables. All right. So suppose if I create any table, create table emp2 emp number integer data type ename varchar of 10. All right, and fine. And I'm just you have to choose the right database and click on execute. Now it got executed, right? So just go and refresh in the just go here and try to refresh the SQL databases, test database, and try to connect with the query editor. You can able to see the one which I have created the table. Try to refresh and expand the tables. You will able to see the EMP2 which I have created from SSMS. Got it?
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So most of the times we use both. Like I use the in entire class with SSMS only because that is everybody knows how to use SSMS. All right. So then now we have seen DTU model. I have created DTU model. Then later, uh, let me go back to the SQL servers. All right, I have a SQL 1235. Inside of it, I have only one database. Correct. So you can create multiple databases. It's not something that only you have to create one database for server. Okay. So I'm going to create one more database. Okay. And the database name, let me try to keep test. You cannot create the duplicate names because if you try to give the same test, it will throw error that the test database name is already existed. All right, duplicate names will not allowed. Test one and yeah. So the compute plus storage, this is very important. Yeah. So which model that you want to go with? So DDU, I have done with the basic model. Let me go with the standard. So in standard, you will get 10 GB storage, sorry, 10 DTUs with the 250 GB of storage with the price of 1322 per month. Okay. All right. So I don't want to go with this much. So I can reduce my the, but if you observe, even though if I reduce my storage, but still the price is not coming down. Okay, because they are calculating per DTU. Okay, per DTU 132 into 10 DTUs. If I increase my DTUs, obviously my price will change. Let's observe 20 DTUs into 132. It is 2644. Correct. So that's how you have to play. So which DTU model that you want to use, and how many DTUs that is required. So in order to increase the memory like storage, you have to increase the DTUs as well. If you want to go beyond 250 GB storage, then you have to increase the DTUs as well. See enough? Once you go to the 50 DTUs, 75, let me put it as 70 or 75 DTUs. See, it is not taking 75. Let me give 75. 75 also not taking. Okay, minimum you have to give 100 DTUs, then only you can utilize the 1 TB of storage. Then 132 into 100 around the 27691. Okay, after a certain thing, again they charge the storage as well. Okay, 774 additionally you are trying to add, and each GB is calculated 18 rupees per month. Okay, that's how Microsoft will if you go with like 10 DTUs with 250 GB storage, then they are not calculating for the storage. Correct? When you go beyond 250 GB, then the pricing will be increasing. All right. So apply and just review, create. Okay. So now you are clear with 2 points. One is there is no Windows and there is no agent. So show me where is my agent. This is my uh, this is my single DB model, and I don't have a agent. Correct? Two points are clear. I don't have a Windows platform. At the same time, I don't have a agent as well. So then there is a point called cross queries. So what is this cross queries exactly? What is this cross queries exactly? Let me try to refresh whether, yeah, test one is created. So what is this cross queries means? I cannot I cannot write a joins in between two databases or two tables which are existed on two different databases. I cannot do it. Okay, if you try to uh, join the two different databases by using the joins and all, it will simply give error. Okay, it will say that boss, you cannot use a cross queries in Azure DB model. Okay, all right. So now let me use test. I want to switch my connection from test 2 to test 1. So if I execute, it will give error. Okay. Use statement is not supported to switch the between database. Use a new connection to connect to a different database. So what exactly it is telling was you cannot switch the connections, or you cannot use the joins, or cross queries are not applicable, or you cannot create the cross queries in Azure DB model. Okay. Then in order to switch that, what you have to do, you have to refresh, and then later try to new query, and try to, hey, what happened, disconnect and try to reconnect. Okay, new query, you can take a new query. All right, like this you can you have to use the queries. So you cannot select from the drop down. So you can see only whichever the database that you have chosen. For the database only, it will give a new query connection. You cannot switch the connections between one database to another database. That is not possible, guys. All right. That is the limitation with the the Azure DB and a single database model. All right. So post that, what you have to do now, all the 3 points are clear, right, everyone? So what is a cross query and why it is not supporting the cross queries, uh, and what is no windows, and what is like no SQL agent? Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So these are
Hi,
very
Vishal.
important. Yeah,
How
please.
you are going to take the backups on this single DB or Elastic model?
Yeah, that's you no need to worry on that part. Okay. So
Okay.
I'm going to discuss on that backups and all the parts. Okay.
Mm.
Backups will be taken care by Microsoft only. You don't have
Okay.
any control on the backups and all. Okay.
Okay.
So see that there is option to backups. Where is my server? Go to the SQL server, and there is a option backups. Correct. So once there is a lot of discussion on this part. Okay, don't worry on it. So your backups will
Okay.
be taken care by Microsoft. Okay, you can
Okay.
restore it at any time. Okay, but you don't have control on it. There are the few
Gotcha.
controls taken away from you. All right. So what are those options? Why they have taken those options from you? Let's try to observe now. Okay. So this is my database. Okay. I cannot I cannot use few of the options. Like I cannot take my database to offline and online. That is not possible. Okay. So if you don't want your database, simply you can go and delete it. That's it. You cannot like in normal like on-premise model, what will happen? If you don't want your database and you want to keep it for some time, okay, then what probably guys will do, they can take the database to offline, right? I can take my database to offline, and whenever I want, I can again bring it back to online. Correct? Like this. All right. I can again, if whenever I want, I can bring it back to online, because it means that it's a downtime. Correct? It's downtime. So what Microsoft is claiming in DTU model, the uptime SLA is 99.99%. So how they are achieving these kind of things? Because they have taken your few of the options are controlled by Microsoft. Correct? So you don't have anything. You cannot take your database to offline, or you cannot bring it back to online. You cannot play anything with the database, or even you cannot see where is your database data files and log files. All right. So you no need to
What's
worry
up?
of. Yes, please.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. So you don't have the control on your data files and log files. In general cases, what will happen? You can view your where your data file and log file are existed, where your data is going, everything you have the visibility, right? When you go to the files, so my data file and log files are existed on F drive. Correct? F drive. Here you don't have such options. Correct? So where Microsoft is keeping, and uh, where your data is going, you don't have such controls. Correct? All right, fine. And in options, you have very limited options. So you can put it as multi-user or single user. That's up to you. Single user. This we use it for some time, right? You can make it as a database read only kind of. That's your wish. You can make a database as read only or kind of. That's up to you. Okay, that options are there. And like database offline, online, where your data is going. Okay, and a few other options like uh, like mirroring, okay, permissions, change tracking, these kind of options are not available. Correct. And files you cannot see, file groups, options in like recovery models. Okay, by default, whatever the databases that you have created in Azure, each database would be in full recovery. There is no option of like simple or bulk logged recovery models. That is not possible. Okay, only you have a full recovery model. That recovery option also taken away from you. The reason behind is, in case if something happened to your database, they want to recover it completely. So if you keep your database into simple recovery model, how the Microsoft is going to achieve the 99.99% of SLA? Correct? They are claiming 99.99% your data is always up and running. Your database is up and running. So the reason behind is they have taken away few of the options. Correct? And yeah. So and you no need to worry about the patching as well. Okay. In normal cases, what will happen? You need to patch your server in order to meet the security standards. Here, there is no option of like uh, applying the patches. Okay, that part also you no need to worry on that. So Microsoft will take care of everything. Okay, and the one of the challenge with the Azure DB model is you cannot choose a version. Okay, so now in on-premise model, what will happen? You can choose a like I want to go with only SQL Server 2016 or SQL Server 2019 or 2022, 2017 or 2014. What is the version that I want? I can choose that particular version. Here, it doesn't have, or you don't have control to choose which version. By default, they will deploy into the latest version. Okay, right now the latest version would be uh, the Microsoft is using SQL 2019. 2022 is still in like R&D, research and development. Still, that is not up to the mark. Okay, so the reason why all your servers are deploying into SQL Server 2019. Correct. Okay. By seeing this 12.0.2000.8, don't come to know, don't come for and conclude that it's a like
14 server,
yeah,
2014.
it's not a SQL 2014. Okay, it's a Microsoft Azure RTM version 12.0 2000.8. Okay, all the corporate sites reserved to the Microsoft like this. Okay, so if you want, you can just go and Google it. You will find a information about so what is this Azure version and all. Okay, Azure single DB versions. You don't have control on it. All right. For MySQL, this is not for SQL. Mm, They don't claim at anywhere. Okay, but if you want, I can give the exclusively the number and all. Then it's SQL 2019. Okay, 2020 SQL Server 2029. There is no such article for this. Okay, yeah, Microsoft SQL Server 2019. This is the version. Okay, SQL 2019 and 12.0.8. Okay, All right. So like this, you don't have any control on the which version that you want to go. Okay. In such a cases, don't go with single DB model. So there are some limitations with the single DB model. So what are those limitations? You no need to worry on the patching part. There is no windows, there is no cross query. It won't support the cross queries. It won't have a agent. So agent, that is a different part. We have a my elastic agent jobs. By using that, we can we can manage the jobs and all. Correct? Yeah. So and also in elastic DB model, what will happen? Each DB is associated with its own DTUs. I have created two databases. These two databases will have two different DTU models. That's what we call it as a why we call it as a single DB. That is very important. So why we call it as a single DB? Because in single DB model, what will happen? Each DB having its own resources. Let's try to observe SQL databases. Yeah. So this database is belongs to a basic DTU, and it is having a 5 DTUs along with the 2 GB of storage. Let's observe test one is it's a standard S01 and it's having 10 DTUs. Correct? Even though these two databases are existing on the same server, but each database is it's a isolated database. Each database is isolated in single DB model. Correct? So each DB can have its own resources. I can create 10 databases. 10 databases can have 10 different DTU models or 10 different vCore models. vCore model I haven't disclosed yet. Just concentrate on the DTU model. So in DTU model, if we want create, I can create 10 databases with different DTU models. That's what we call it as a single DB. So what is the reason the Microsoft is saying that it's a single DB? Because each DB having its own resources. So even though they are belongs to a like a SQL 123 server, but each database is having its own resources, correct? But in like a normal on-premise model, so what is happening? I don't have such thing. Okay, I cannot keep that this database has to use like 1 GB RAM. This database has to use 2 GB RAM. Okay, this database has to use only 3 GB RAM, and this database has to use like 1 GB RAM. I cannot. There is no such control, right? Only you have to give at server level. You can configure the settings at server level. Okay, you can have the configurations at server level. I can like I can use the for the entire server. Correct? So based on the workloads, the databases will occupy the our databases will use the RAM. Here it is not something like that. Single DB model. Each DB can have its own resources. That's why this is different with the normal on-premise model. Got it? So if interviewer asks this question, so what is that? Why we call it as a single DB means because in Azure DB model, each database is associated with its own resources like DTOs. Correct? So that's the reason why we call it as a single DB model. Correct? Yeah. So Elastic DB still I haven't disclosed. I will disclose by in tomorrow's class. All right. So in addition to the same, let's concentrate on the few of the other options for the database, and there is no controls on you. Okay, you cannot have the like offline online. There is no option for like um, a backup and restore. There is no option for like shrink of the database. Okay, in on-premise model, what will happen if any data file got full or log file got full? If any free space is there, then probably we can go and shrink the files. Correct? Here there is no option to do that. You don't have such control where we can go and shrink the files. Show me where is the data file and log file. Correct? You don't have any such controls. All right. So try to explore yourself, like what is the differences between single DB and elastic, single DB and on-prem DB. All right. In SQL Server level, let's discuss about the database level. Fine. So overview is nothing but overview will give a information of what this server and what this server is belongs to. It will give the few information. Correct. So SQL servers, go to the SQL servers, SQL server, and overview. See. All right. So this is belongs to a prod resource group. This SQL server is belongs to a prod resource group. We'll discuss first about the database, then we'll come to the SQL server. Okay, let's go to the database. Database overview. This is belongs to which resource group? It belongs to the prod resource group. This particular test database, correct? This is server name and uh, forward slash database name. All right, and what is the server name? This database is existed. That is belongs to SQL 1235 server database.windows.net. Okay, is it a elastic pool model? No, no elastic pool model. What is the status of it? Right now it is online. Okay, what is the location? It is in central India. What is the subscription that is belongs to? Pay as you go. Okay, and subscription ID, this is a subscription ID. All right, so what is the pricing tier? It is belongs to a, this test database is belongs to a basic tier model. Pricing tier is it's a basic tier. All right. Then activity log. So what is this activity log? In case anything that you have performed in this particular database, it will be captured. Okay, updated SQL database 11 minutes back, 31 minutes back, it will give the information. So if you want to read that, what exactly it was happened, you can try to expand it. All right, fine. Then tags, I will discuss this part later. Diagnose and solve the problem. This is nothing but in case something happened to your database, if it is not responding or your database is not online or something, then you can have a common troubleshooting issues. Okay, you can diagnose that problem, and you can, according to the diagnose, you can you can solve the issues. That is one part. Diagnose and solve the issue. So these are the,
Vishal,
yeah, please.
yeah. Can we use those standard and premium versions also on the single database?
Yes, that's what you can use, either any one of the model which is according to your requirement.
Okay. Are those limitations applicable for those two also, standard and premium?
Yes, when it goes to the standard model, it has maximum of like 1 TB storage, correct?
Yes.
1 TB storage with 3000 DTUs. When you go with the premium, 4 TB storage and 4000 DTUs.
Okay.
That is a max. You cannot go beyond it.
Okay.
All right. And if you want to, still you feel that you want to increase more and more, yes, there is other option. You can request Microsoft to get increase the DTUs. If you are a premium kind of customer, then they will allocate. That's a different part. But what Microsoft is saying that this is a max limitation. Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
Okay, so one is what's uptime SLA? I think you are
Up
on you
up
were on it.
uptime SLA. So this uptime SLA means your database, they are claiming that your database is always up and running by 99.999%. It means that if you take it 365 days a year, so it's a big calculation. Let me calculate it. 365 days. 365 days into 99.999. 999. Okay, how much it is coming? By 100. Okay, almost 364. This is 364. Okay, all right. Otherwise, we can do 365. It's 100%, right? 99% means 99.99 means 0 point into 0 0.0001. Okay, 0.365. This is days, correct? And let me convert into the hours, 24 hours. That equal to 8. Okay. Almost what Microsoft is saying that out of 365 days, 8 hours only your database may be down. That's the theme of Microsoft. They did not say that 100% because no one will not guarantee that your database will be always up. 100% no one will not guarantee. Okay, there is no guarantee 100%. So only 99.99% they are giving. It means that 0.001% there is a chance. Okay, there is a chance that your database may go down. It means that if you calculate the entire year, almost 8 hours will be the downtime. All right.
Okay, got it. So what about the difference between vCore and VTU? Are you gonna go over vCore later?
That I haven't disclosed yet. Let me go
Okay,
with the
okay.
brief of the database options. All right, fine. So then see the diagnose and solve the problems are nothing but in case if you have any issues with the backup and restore, they will have the common problems. These are the common problems what Microsoft has identified and given the some articles to troubleshoot. These are self troubleshooting purpose. Okay, so in case if you are troubleshoot DB availability and connection errors, if you have any connections errors with the database, you can if you want to create a drop resources, you can use this article. Like this, they will have the some predefined articles. Okay, and if you don't want to do it yourself, then you will have always supporting request. You can raise it. All right. So in order to raise a support request, again you have to belongs to a the particular the support model. You have to acquire a support model, right? So basic, standard, we have a premium, basic, standard, and a premium support we have. Developer, there is a one more basic, developer, standard, and premium support. 4 supports we have. If you are belongs to a basic, I have already shown that one, right? So basic, nothing can be provided by the Microsoft. So when you are a developer, almost $29 per month, there was a calculation, right? Just remember this. This is very important. I have already shown that one, right? Where is that? Support request. Hey, where it went? What happened? All right. Let me Azure support plans. Okay, and it will give the brief about the plans. Correct. We already discussed a lot on it. Yeah, this is the one. So basic developer, standard, professional, direct, and premium support. Correct. So what model that you are belongs to. Based on that, the support will be given. All right, fine. Let's come back. Fine. This is a query editor. In order to connect directly from the Azure portal, you can use a query editor. This is compute plus storage is nothing but like what exactly your service is utilizing or your database is utilizing, your test database is utilizing. It's a five basic DTU and with the 2 GB of storage. Okay, this connection string, what is this connection string means? In order to connect any application, like if it is a .NET application, in order to connect to this database and have to input the data or they want to do the operations, then you have to give, this is a connection string. Okay, and Uh, for SQL authentication, you have to use this one. For Active Directory authentication, this is the connection string that you have to use it. If your application is a JDBC application, then this is the connection string. If it's a ODBC, then this is the connection PHP for Go. Okay. In case your your application team asking that I want to connect to my database server with the help of the .NET application, then you have to give the corresponding the connection string. All right, then properties. So properties are nothing but it will give the same information about the database. What is the tracing tier, what is the status of it, and what is the collation of the database. That also you can choose it, because I haven't disclosed about the collation, because we can choose there are different collation for database as well. I haven't disclosed it. Okay, in upcoming classes I will disclose that one as well. Yeah, this is the connection strings and what is the server name and what is the location of it and subscription ID. Nothing. Okay, it is also same. Like, then logs, these logs are very important. What is this logs exactly? Like I have a database called test database and test 1 and 2, test and test 1. I think 2 databases I have. Okay, this database I can directly delete. Correct, I can go here and type the database name. All right, Control C, Control V, and delete. It will delete. Okay, successfully deleted your test1 database. Try to refresh the screen. So whatever the operations that you have performed, in order to take effect, you have to refresh it. All right, I have refreshed the screen. Then go to databases. Still, it is showing. Uh, well, it will take some time to. Yeah, see enough. It got deleted because what is the reason behind it? Anyone can delete this database because I haven't applied any logs on this particular database. If I apply a log, just try to test database, I'm trying to add a log. So I'm just applying the delete log. Log name is don't delete log. Description. This is a prod database. Don't delete. Okay, I put a log. Just observe, guys, what is the importance of the logs. Okay, I put a log on it. So just I will go to the SQL databases, right? SQL databases, and let me try to delete this particular test database. It will not delete. The reason behind of it, just try to delete the database. Test. You have to type the name test. Okay, so it has given a error. Failed to delete the database. Test error code error message. What is the error message? Error message. It hasn't given the proper error message. Let me try to delete again. It will give the clearly that there is a lock applied on the database. Why it is not given proper message? It will give, definitely it will give the right message saying that there is a lock already placed on the database. You cannot delete it. Okay, that's not a problem, because the reason for it is you have already applied a lock on the database, correct? That's the reason why you cannot delete it. That's the importance of the lock. If you don't want, yes, you can delete this lock at any time. One step, okay? And this replication sync to other databases, this is a like big topic. We have a separate topic on it. We'll discuss slowly. All right. Then these are the integrations. So if you want to use any one of the integration services, so if your application is a Azure Synapse, and if you want to use Azure Synapse, yes, you can use this Azure Synapse for this Azure database, correct? And Power BI is for, again, it's a reporting tool where you can like use a Power BI tool to generate the reports and all. Okay, yeah. And this is auditing. So what is this auditing exactly? What is this auditing exactly? It will give, I will also discuss on this part. Okay, auditing is nothing but if any actions that are performing on this particular database, i can I can like audit it. Okay, if any deletes are coming or if any inserts are happening, select operations or update operations, any operations that are happening on this database, I can audit it. Okay, each one will be recorded in the audit logs and I can view that logs. So these are for the auditing purpose. Okay, you can enable this auditing at database level, at server level. If you enable at server level, so whatever the databases that you created inside that server, all for all the databases, that auditing will be applied. Okay, if you can create for a particular database also, that is possible. It's up to you. Okay, but you have to remember one thing, that is when you enable the auditing, you should be very careful, because it will be like a additional burden to the database only. Okay, it will be like a kind of additional burden to the database. Why we don't enable the why don't we enable the auditing for all the databases in the there is a option for auditing, right? Tables, if you want to audit any tables or anything, that is possible. There is a one second, let me check whether tables are there. No tables. Yeah, it is having a table, let it be. So I can create a auditing, right? Go to properties. And you can enable the change tracking. Okay, and you can enable the auditing as well, server level auditing, you can enable it, correct? So why we don't enable the auditing? Basically, for every server, like whether it could be a like on premise or whether it could be Azure DB, so we don't enable the auditing. So what is the reason for it? Because it will create a additional burden to the database or additional burden to the server, because it will try to write the each and every transaction from the log file. So whatever the transactions that are coming to the log file, it will try to write all the transaction log files into the auditing file. So it's kind of a additional work to the SQL, correct? So you may experience the slow performance when you enable the auditing. That's the reason why if it is mandatory required or your client is asking to enable the auditing, then only go and enable the auditing, correct? But don't do it for unnecessarily. It will create a unnecessarily burden to the your database. All right, fine. And I'm going to show you how we can create the auditing and all. And uh, this is also very important screens. Okay, like TDE. What is TDE? Transparent data encryption. What is this TDE means? Each database will be whatever the database that you have created in Azure, that database by default it is encrypted. So it means that even though someone thefted your data, they cannot use it. Okay, transparent data encryption, your databases backups and logs at rest without any changes to your application to enable go to the each database. Right, so by default this transparent data encryption TDE is enabled uh, for each and every database. All right, that's a mandatory field. That's a mandatory one. If you want to go with uh, your own managed kind of case, you can also use it. Okay, but by default, your Microsoft has every database, whatever you created, that database will by default it will be enabled. That TDE will be enabled. Okay, now you will understand that whatever the data it is there with Microsoft, still they also do they cannot use the data if they want to see your data, but they cannot see it. The reason behind is it is a encrypted data. Your database is encrypted. You cannot if I if I hack your data also, I cannot use it. Correct? All right. That's what Microsoft is saying, that your data is secure with the Azure and all. All right. Okay. That's what I think probably we can stop it for today and we can catch you tomorrow. And anyone having any doubts? Still we have 2 minutes of time. I can clarify your doubts. Probably anyone having any questions, you can feel free to ask me. I think Ishwar is talking, but I'm not able to hear you, Ishwar. Ishwar,
Yeah,
do you
no,
have any?
yeah, no questions, Vishal.
Okay, fine then. If nothing, then we can wind up for today. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Happy learning. We'll catch
Yeah,
you
thank you.
tomorrow,
Thank
same
you.
time.
Yeah, thank you.
And bye.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Bye.